it's important that I read into whatever remains as a record of today's event the actual firms that are working with the Provincial Growth Fund who have their own skin in the game, and we are endeavouring to help grow the prowess of engineering, the goods and services that flow from that, and the jobs that will flow. Secondly, talking about the rangatahi, the young people, which after all, in the far north, like the deep south, we all know the famous Māori proverb, huia te rito te harakeke, kei he te kōmako e ko, he ha te menui, māku te kiatu, he tangata pluck. The tender shoot from the flax bush, and it will be not unlike the bellbird calling. And that call is what is the greatest thing of all. It is people, it is people, it is people. And that is the mission today. So, you would know that Mr. David Parker has made an announcement about Rakiura and improving their energy resilience over there. I personally wanted to go to the Stewart Island to make that announcement, but I did not hear from anyone in Ngaitahu that I was guaranteed seafood. And every time I come here, they give me mutton birds, so I've got about 4 pails of mutton birds. But rest assured, next year when I go looking for the love of my Ngāpuhi relations, those mutton birds will come in handy. So today, the announcement that I'm making in terms of engineering is it's a practicable way how we can offer some support to the manufacturing sector. 10 engineering and manufacturing firms will receive a total of $2.1 million to assist with the purchasing of equipment, leading to the creation of 57 new jobs in the sector. It builds on earlier announcements that we made in Otago, and that day both Dr. Clark, Mr. Parker, myself, and we were aided by both Mark and Claire Curran, and we have put genuine pūtea into businesses who want to keep the traditions of engineering and manufacturing alive in that part of New Zealand. Now, the collective is called SOREC. Earlier we made a small grant towards this organisation, which is really to bring some robustness and collegiality amongst different firms. So bear with me, folks. These are your neighbours, these are investors, these are employers. The details of the firms funded: JK's Engineering to purchase a CNC to demonstrate that I left science in 1975. I have no idea what a computerised numerical control beamline machine is, but I'm told that the heartiness and the hardiness of the Southland engineers with this machine will create new profit. Yunka is $250,000 for this company to purchase new equipment and create an additional 16 jobs, increasing capacity with 2 press brakes, and exclusive manufacturing rights have been achieved by this entity to a patented mechanical technology, which enables the aluminium industry globally to modulate power usage, supporting the transition to green energy. New Look Windows and Doors, $140,000 to purchase equipment to enable further fabrication and growth in satisfying commercial customers. Bluff Engineering and Welding, $77,000 to purchase 5 pieces of equipment to lift productivity. Zenatech, $130,000 that will enable equipment to overcome production line bottlenecks in this Southland family-owned business that focuses arboriculture, and forestry industry, something near and dear to my heart. FI Innovations, a sum of $370,000 that will allow for customers who need innovative and timely solutions to be satisfied. They specialise in fiberglass, flexible urethane and flooring. Stabicraft, I need not elaborate. Obviously this is an iconic enterprise in this part of New Zealand. It will add 12 new jobs, accelerate productivity to build more aluminium chambered vessels for their commercial and domestic clients. Sheet Metal Craft, a sum of $132,000, dealing with productivity and the purchase of equipment for this light medium engineering firm specialising in sheet metal fabrication. EIS, the creation of 8 more jobs in this automation, engineering and electrical company, so it can deliver its fibre optic services more effectively. Southern Steel Windows, $250,000 to increase productivity and create 3 jobs. It sounds slightly tedious, but it's important on your behalf that I, as a politician, name these firms, because obviously these are employers and they're people that we have not suffered a sliver of doubt of joining forces with. It's taken longer than I would have liked. However, I am stuck with various bureaucratic processes, which, if God gives me enough votes the next time round, will be shrinking the size of that pot of treacle. I want to now talk about aquaculture. You may know that we are very keen to proceed with growing aquaculture enterprises in your neck of the woods. Your civic leaders have promoted various enterprises, not the least of which is fish farming. So that those details are still being worked through, but the $500,000 which has been supported by Ngāi Tahu and supported by local businesses that's made available today is to, just bear with me, is to expedite the growth of asparagopsis. Asparagopsis. I presume that is a flash word for rimu or seaweed, which apparently is going to be manufactured commercially, and it's going to create, and you all know a bit about this, a host of food supplements for farm animals to reduce emissions, something that the media often suggest I eat myself. The trial will test if Southland, Murihiku, can become the first supplier and global leader in the cultivation of this seaweed. The investment certainly aligns with our aquaculture strategy. Obviously, you know, getting the consents for aquaculture is a mare's nest, and that is something that we have prevailed upon your Minister of Environment, Mr. David Parker, when he's not trying to find the right balance between environment and development in terms of his water policy. If you have any further observations you'd like to make about that, please feel free to regard me as an open door that you can push on. These projects will use world-leading technology, and the company that the Crown is working with have put a significant amount of their own money into this entity. Unfortunately, Mr. Guy Royal, who was representing the other investors, is unable to be here today, so I'm sure on his behalf you would appreciate me offering the apologies. The final one is Te Aramahi. So, South Islanders, you may recall this was the government's one of our flagship initiatives dealing with the NEFs, i.e. the young men and women who have slipped through the cracks, either not coming out of school well adapted, or not either work ready, or people not knowing what type of interventions need to be made. So we came up with the policy. The Provincial Growth Fund is investing over $1.5 million in Southland Youth Futures, so young people can be supported into actual local jobs. No more doing half-baked courses, sitting behind computers and being recycled back into the world of unemployment. I don't like that approach. So today's announcement is about employers, educators and industry leaders working together. You've briefed me about this before, you've briefed Mr. Willie Jackson about it before, but it does exemplify the kaupapa of Te Aramahi, giving a region the capability to support local people, to upskill, train and get them into work. Years ago when I was in the Labour Party, Labour meant work, and work liberates people. So I'm a great believer in that particular conception of Labour. The project's run by Great South, Southland's economic development agency, and has been operating well since 2016. The program will be expanded to work with up to 6,200 rangatahi between the age of 14 to 20. And it will enable this to be turbocharged. It's not the only amount of money available. It shows, however, that these are challenging, this is a challenging cohort of young New Zealanders to work with, but we're up for the task. We know that it's a far more effective use of our pūtea rather than seeing them slip endlessly into social oblivion and picking up the costs when they wash up before our magistrates. The current shortage of employees is predicted to increase in your neck of the woods, so the program is vital. That's not to say that there's not scope for continuing to draw upon suitable cohorts of migrant labour, but I belong to a party called New Zealand First, which is a contributor to our coalition government, and we are hell-bent on getting our own people into the world of light through the medium of work. So this is going to make a substantial difference to the lives and futures of young people, and I never like to come across judgmentally with young people. I'm the father of 7 kids and 11, 12 mokopunas, so I'm acutely aware of how challenging it is for parents with kids going through difficult stages, but this is a community challenge. I've heard your koromatua, your mayor, speak about this before, and I speak on behalf of my colleague Willie Jackson. We are up for that challenge. So this particular contribution is some pūtea to actually put some fuel in the tank. Final thing I'd like to say is that you may have seen me on television recently talking and having a row with the Tasmanians. Now the Tasmanians believe that the term Mānuka is their term. Now when I was a boy in 1516 at St Stephen's Maori Boys School, Mānuka was called tea tree. And we spent every holidays cutting down tea tree so that Dad could expand the size of the farm for his cows, which were of marginal economic value, but that aside. Now, there is no such thing as tea tree. It is a high-valued, highly revered type of tree called Mānuka, where we can create oil-based products and honey-based products. We have made an allocation of about $5 or $6 million in principle to a group of honey interests to fight and protect the term Mānuka internationally, so that the Tasmanians and the Aussies don't regard it as their term. Apparently they've got a street in Canberra called Mānuka, and that is why they believe it is part of their culture. But when I was born, there was no place called Canberra, so how can that be true? The Ngaitahu people in the audience, we need you to stand up and back this kaupapa internationally. Mānuka is in your Treaty of Waitangi settlement, but Mānuka is a kaupapa that can expand the wealth for all New Zealanders. If you're willing to put money into quite a risky venture, growing Mānuka honey, let's go out into the world and defend the brand equity associated with that exclusive term, Mānuka, which is an Aotearoa term. And sir, go back and tell the leaders of Ngaitahu, Matua Shane wants everyone paddling the waka in the same direction, with my relations from the far north and the Ngaitahu and everyone in between, ensuring that value associated with Mānuka, which is a good rural industry, is not dissipated or taken by our Aussie cousins as something that's exclusively theirs as well. They're not very happy with us doing that. I've been criticised in the Australian press for convincing the government to put $6 million into this international property right. I said to them, you stop sending your gangs back to New Zealand and I'll treat you with better respect. Thank you very much.